think Amy is calling up our system for us. I ask everybody to rise and join with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I call to order the meeting of the regular board for April 27th, 2023. And I welcome our guests and all the board members, our clerk and our administrator. Roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here. Thank you. I ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the April 11th, 2023 meeting.
I'll make that motion, Hardy.
Do we have a support?
I'll do that, Morris.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Morris. Are there any comments, corrections, or questions on the minutes as presented? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Conflict of interest disclosure regarding the agenda items. Are any board members want to declare a conflict of interest? Hearing none, are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
I'll support.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment. Public comment. Hearing none, Mr. Erickson, Parks and Recreation grant request, and Mr. Erickson, if I may, and the post approval of the grant received from, with Mr. McKean, was it Great Lakes Energy Fund, the grant?
That's correct.
And the amount of $1,782.
$83.
$83.
83.
$83. Thank you, Mr. McKean. Thank you, Mr. Erickson.
Mr. Chair, I present motion number 2023-55 to allow the Parks and Recreation to apply for a grant with the People's Fund of the Great Lakes Energy in the amount of $4,832 for the purchase of 4 8-foot ADA tables for Cedar Point Park and 3 park benches for Gales Pond Walkway, and also approval of the GLE People's Grant in the amount of $1,783.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson.
I support that.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, Parks and Recreation grant request number 2.
Chairman Walker, I make a motion to allow the Parks and Recreation Committee to apply for a grant with the Oceana Community Foundation in the amount of $4,800 for the purchase of 4 6-foot ADA picnic tables and 4 ADA grills for various parks.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. Sorry, I put water in my mouth. This is yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Beggs, per diem schedule revision.
I'd like to make motion 2023-57 to revise the Board of Commissioners per diem schedule to include ad hoc committees of opioid settlement and the broadband task force in accordance with the policy set October 25th, 2012.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Do we have a support?
I'll support, Hardy.
And support by Mr. Hardy. Any comments, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Thank you, board members. Mr. Erickson, budget amendment number 04-2023. 2023 for Child Care Fund.
Mr. Walker, I present motion number 2023-58 to approve a budget adjustment number 04-2023 to amend the Child Care Fund to reflect the increase in activity.
Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Moved by Mr. Erickson, support by Mr. Beggs. Any questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Thank you. Reports from the commissioners. Mr. Beggs.
Just
Motion.
Oh,
Sorry.
Payment of claims.
Payment of
Oh,
claims.
payment
Oh,
of
yeah.
claims. Thank you.
Point of
Thank you,
order.
Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, payment of claims.
Might be important to
I
get
guess
these-
we need to pay our bills.
I'll
Get
pay our
these-
bills.
Get these approved. Okay, this is for accounts payable and release of funds for 4/27/2023. The ambulance fund total $266,058.18. FOC fund $2,194.09. Shelby Township Community Park Fund $8,706.25. Automation ROD fund total $3,695.07. Indigent Defense Fund $11,735.70. LOCT fund total $79. ARPA fund total $14,872.24. Department of Veteran Affairs total $7,090.30. Technology and Innovation Fund total $4,077.96. Capital Projects Replacement Fund total $4,855.41. Building Department Fund total $10,876.70. General Fund total $498,601.84 for a grand total of $832,842.74.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Erickson. Any questions or comments on the bills as presented? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes, and thank you again, Mr. Hardy.
No problem.
Reports from the commissioners. Mr. Beggs?
Just a couple of quick ones. Just had the opportunity this last weekend. Mr. Erickson gave us, I believe Mr. Erickson gave us a copy of the paper here. There was a bike race that happened this last weekend. There were bikers all over the mid to western side of the county. But that brought an opportunity for our 911 personnel and other folks to just exercise our emergency management command trailer. So they use that to just be kind of a comms center with some volunteer ham radios. So just good to see that equipment being used in a non-emergent way, but it's a good exercise for when an emergent opportunity comes. So that was put to good use. I also had the opportunity to speak with Deputy Mike Phillips a week or two ago, who kind of heads up the county, the Sheriff's Department's dive team. And their new dive trailer has been well equipped, and so I poked my head in there last Saturday while it was parked in the barn. A very nice addition to the arsenal that replaces a dilapidated 30-plus-year-old panel van that really shouldn't be on the road to drive Miss Daisy, let alone emergency dive situations. So that neither of those are really they haven't been general fund expenditures, but they're good additions to the county, and so good to see those assets in place and being used. Then I did notice this is probably courts related, I suppose, not really court security, but the discussion we had at our last meeting about this room next to us for jury board saw that maintenance was in there doing some good work. It's now one room again and looking good, so good progress on an opportunity there that we discussed recently. So that's all I have.
Just to follow up, Mr. Beggs.
Yeah.
I am very happy to hear you say that, that command trailer was rolled out.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first time that's been rolled out.
No, it was used at Electric Forest last year.
Boy, it was there.
It was there.
Yeah, it was there,
It's
yeah.
been used for a couple of exercises, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where it needs to be used during these opportunities where we can exercise it, but not, it hasn't been thrown into an emergency situation,
Yeah.
but need to
So-
be familiar with it.
So if we ever get there, it's been out.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a good time to make sure everything's working.
Yep.
But thank you for that. I wanna just follow up with, Mr. Beggs' comments about the new jury room they're building. And, I can't stress enough how fortunate we are to have somebody who can take charge and just do all of that work and not pay for it. And, one thing that he told me that didn't come in to the whole discussion over all of this, he's gonna put 2 of the white air machines inside that room. The white air machines are the sound deadeners.
Mm.
They actually have a frequency of air that they circulate in there, so the sound doesn't come out of those rooms. They're
Mm.
similar to the rooms where the attorneys can have a discussion with their clients.
Huh.
So.
Interesting.
Great.
So, it's nice to have somebody that can handle it. Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Mr. Hardy?
Yeah, we had a 911 meeting yesterday, and Gary attended as well. Other than the normal stuff, they were talking about public safety radio coverage in the limited dunes access area. I think, excuse me, a frog in my throat here, but there's no determination yet on what to do. They talked about additional towers. Towers are almost $2 million each, with a $15,000 maintenance fee annually. They discussed a couple other things. There are some things that you can broadcast over Wi-Fi, some type of hotspots. I shouldn't say hotspots, and there's a couple of options for that. If you have cell phone coverage, the same thing, that some of those things can be Wi-Fi. There's one called Kodiak that they could input. Oh.
In case you need it
here. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I just swallowed a pit in that donut I had, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh man, back to normal. The only problem with some of the phone transmission things, and either through through the cell towers or through what the Wi-Fi connects, if they had kind of, I'll call it like a campground Wi-Fi area out there, it runs $200 a year per licensing per phone.
Ooh.
And the director estimated there's probably 700 first responders, EMS, and the rest of it, which obviously takes it way out of line. There's another program that's called ES Chat that does kind of the same thing. Main thing is that some of these programs, you have to be very careful what you say over those things. If it goes back to central dispatch, ES Chat, they would have to add a module on the up at 911. And keep in mind, this covers both Mason and Oceana counties. So when I say 700, that's a direct. Even with that, though, the ES Chat would run roughly about $30,000 a year. Right now, there's no money for the communication side of it. I mean, they did a preliminary study, and correct me, Gary, if I'm wrong, but there would be multiple towers that would be needed out towards the lake. So it's not just adding one $2 million tower, it's adding multiple towers. So it's still ongoing. They're trying to figure out the most cost-effective solution for it that can continue to be maintained and affordable. So they were doing their work, but that's all I have.
So that's interesting. I can tell you from my time in a patrol car in Oceana County that if you're parked on the south side of the Wesco station in Rothbury, none of your radios are going to work. That's why all the patrol cars park on the north side. Or if you are inside the water park at Double J Ranch, all of that steel in there, it absolutely doesn't work.
Yeah.
So and that's a problem not only for law enforcement when they're in there, but for first responders and medical. because they can't get out on their radios. We had looked at a repeater system inside the patrol cars to cover that, and this was probably 12 or 15 years ago, and they were over $50,000 a patrol car at that time to put those in. So it's just a matter that you gotta realize, and when you check out a service, say you're gonna be in the water park at Double J Ranch, don't give a status check to me because I'm not gonna hear you.
Yeah,
You know,
and
those
it's, you bring that, it's kind of interesting. Our tower here on Star Hill
Yeah.
hits pretty much all of Oceana County. Mason County actually has 3 towers.
Yeah, they put one in for Ludington. up
Yeah,
on the north
they
side.
had to because apparently when they put that tower, if you go up by Meisenheimer Road on 31, if you notice that tower is way down the hill. They wanted to put it up on top of the hill, but I don't know if that, I think that's state property or that's where the rest area is. And they said no.
MDOT property, and MDOT would not let them.
Wouldn't let them.
Wow.
So they ended up putting in one in Leadington, and then they have another one up in the free soil area there. But we got really lucky with the hill here, Star Hill. So we're at one, and the next closest one is over a little bit outside of Hesperia. But to pick up the lakeshore, that's a major problem. And even putting a repeater, and I think they were talking about those fixed base repeater things were, I can't remember the exact amount, but like $500,000 for kind of a miniature tower. So the biggest thing was when they had that fire out there. Was that 3 years ago, Gary?
But,
Yeah,
but,
going on 4 in August.
but now they have a mobile trailer.
Yeah, and the trailer can work. It will work. They'll have to pull it out there and park it, and then they have to transmit back to one of the vehicles. The vehicle picks up that, and then the tower, their mobile trailer. But again, for, you know,
The everyday operation.
yep. And one of the things I think Ray mentioned was that they need to really identify places where they can park those, you know, ahead of time. And do some-
Geographically correct?
Yeah, so that if you have an incident and I'll say zone 1, this is where you need to go and this is what we can do. And but
The other thing with the trailer is if you take that down, or take it to an area where it is, because all of the 800 megahertz radios have identifiers in them.
Right.
You have to make sure that every radio in that vicinity has has been put in that trailer with their identifier number, otherwise it shuts their radio down. They don't work at all.
Right.
So, the technology is.
Yeah, and we're not the only county with this particular type of issue. I mean, there's a lot of them, and I think one of the things that astounded me was that, and if I can find it here in my report, one of the 2 or 3 of the counties downstate, Gary, I don't know if you remember, but it seems that some of them were adding like 30 towers.
Ottawa County.
Ottawa County, yeah.
And Muskegon as well.
Yeah, and Muskegon was adding multiple towers.
I think they said 6.
Yeah.
They had thought the big tower at the Muskegon Fire Department would help the south end of Oceana County, and it really didn't.
Yeah, Oakland County was one also. 30 towers they're adding.
They have a little
$2
bit
million
higher tax base.
A little bit higher tax base at $2 million a tower plus $15,000 maintenance cost. Yeah. So between Kent County, Oakland County, Muskegon County, it's amazing. But again, most of you probably know that the transmitters, the big towers, are line of sight. So if you have anything in between that line of sight, anything below here is you're not gonna get anything. So.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy.
Yeah.
Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I have just one thing. A member of our community reached out to me this week, and I thought it was a really good idea. And since I'm on the personnel committee and since I'm the chair, to take a look at our code of conduct handbook, our employee handbook, and there's 4 particular policies out there that he suggested I look at or we look at. And I would like the minutes to reflect the exact policies we're going to look at. Is discriminatory sexual harassment sensitivity training, working from home policy. And the reason that he implored for us to take a look at it is because there's case law right now. These are in the courts, right? I guess there's issues out there. People are suing their company because they're walking their dog while they're working from home, and the company's saying, hey, you're walking your dog while you're working from home, but they're like, hey, you didn't spell out what I could or could not do from home, working from home. So that's an example of that one. Just to make sure that our employees, I'm sure they do, but that they sign the code of conduct and that we have a policy with that, and an exit interview process. So I'm just going to be reviewing those, and I'm going to take a look at the policy handbook and seeing if there's anything worth tweaking or adding, and I'll work with Tracy on that.
I think that that would be something that also should go to our corporate attorneys. Something that important. Any other opinions?
Yeah, I agree. No,
We haven't reviewed it in several years, and the amount of money that the attorneys are going to be able to save us, the $30,000 on one claim that our deductible that we have to pay.
Right.
It probably.
Oh, you mean review the whole thing and see what else should be added?
Maybe Tracy should reach out and tell them how long it is and ask them what it would cost to have them review those policies and bring it back to us at the next meeting. Let's see what it would cost.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time that was updated even.
It's been at least 6 years.
Yeah.
I've probably got a date on it, but I'm just guessing. And you think of how much per year that would be. Let's find out how much it would cost. Is it, Mr. Morris, would that go along with what your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We want to protect our county.
And the employees.
And the employees, yep.
And the employees. Anything else for us?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Erickson?
Yeah, I have a few things. I attended the Hesperia Newfield Town Board meeting. There was a good presentation that Lola made from Classic, American Classic, and Lola gave a very, very good presentation to the township in regards to the new recycling center that they're going to put at the Newfield Town Hall. And they're pretty excited. They're putting in lights and dumpster space and American Classic. And they also mentioned our M20 site, working towards getting that up to speed also. So that was real good for Newfield. They were very happy about that. Also, if you'll recall, there was $120,000 to our Sheriff's Department for the updated radios. That purchase would be made through the benefit of the marijuana monies out of Newfield. Does relieve the county of additional expense for updating of the radios, but they were happy to do that. Crystal Township, as I had said, they committed to taking care of the Madison between 126th and 120th. It goes past our park and past their recycling. A lot of solar farm discussion out in Crystal. The solar farm people have been out there speaking with the growers, trying to procure more land, but at this point in time it does not seem to be they're moving in that direction. But if you will notice, I attended the City of Hart council meeting 2 weeks ago, and Hart is gearing up for another switch, more transformer capacity for the solar farm that's going up east of Hart on Polk Road. If you drive by the Forner farm, you'll see that all the panels are on site right now, and City of Hart's gearing up for building that solar farm there. The other thing that I did see at City of Hart meeting, there was a Drive Safe proclamation that was presented by Catalina Barrio. It was tabled at that meeting, but there was probably 40 to 50 Chicanos in attendance as to the Drive Safe laws in Michigan, where they had mentioned that they were going to bring it to the county too once perhaps they're done with the City of Hart. But that would be, there's a couple laws coming up that may be able to make it easier for residents that do not have driver's licenses, because there's law involved with that, and if they can get that changed, then these employees that we have in many of our facilities will be able to drive to work with driver's licenses. It's quite a challenge that they're up against, but that was a very busy meeting, and I suspect that we'll see that come to the county board for a Drive Safe proclamation. And Mr. McKean had filled everyone with the parks. That was good. Thank you very much, Gary. That it's kind of exciting. Spring comes, the trilliums are up, the marsh marigolds are just absolutely beautiful. Gales Pond is gorgeous right now. If you're looking for something to do, to go out and take a look at that. Very important, and also a trip to Lake Michigan to Cedar Point Park should be on everyone's agenda, to go out and look at what the Lathers family has helped make possible, with Pete Lundberg and Joel Michelson and Gary and some good people out there making that county park absolutely gorgeous. So I think that would do me, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Amy, do you have anything for us?
I don't.
Tracy, do you have anything for us? For myself, you would notice on the agenda today, when we were talking about the parks request, that we had separate items for both of those, motions for both of those. I asked the administrator to start doing that, and when we have a department that comes in, sometimes they'll have requests for 3 different fundings, and I asked her to list them separately, because one or members of the board may be in favor of 2 of them and not in favor of 1 of them, so I simply asked her to split those out. So if you see that coming up in the future, that's a reason for it. The mental health board meeting was very interesting that I was at last week. It started off, the packet that we got for the mental health board was 84 pages long, and they don't print anything. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not printing off an 84-page packet of anything to go to a meeting. So I got there to find that I was wrong, that they don't even have printed agendas for you at the meeting, and if you haven't printed one off yourself, you don't have it. And so it's a learning experience to see how they do things at that board compared to all of the other boards we do and that we attend. So I have a learning curve that I have to follow. I will print off my agenda in the future. But it was interesting. And lastly, I just want to make a comment. Each and every one of us, when we turn on our computers, our county computers or our tablets, we find several times a week where we have a needs assessment or a survey that different groups want us to fill out. I think that must be the new revenue source for consultants, is putting out surveys. And if we thought government moved slow in the past, it's not going to move any faster now, because Tim, as you know, this survey is being paid for, but we can't spend any of the opiate funds at all until we have an assessment survey done in Oceana County, and they're paying for it. So if we all wonder why things take forever to do, you know, somebody else has figured out how to make a living on these.
The brother-in-law. It's always the brother-in-law.
I wish he was my favorite brother-in-law. But, you know, I just look at every time I open it up. John, do you have anything under public comment for us?
No, sir.
John, it's nice to see you here today.
Well,
you know,
thanks.
and you're always welcome. Thank you. Mr.
Oh, this
McKean,
has been
public
my home
comment.
away from home for, what, 30 years?
Yep.
Mr. McKean, public comment.
Thank you. Publicly, I'd like to thank Stacy Becker for all of her years of service. I consider Stacy to be our policeman for the county parks and also for planning commission. So if I get something in the wrong slot for our different funding and so on. She reminds me, Gary, this needs to go over here, and you're underfunded, so then we need to go through all of the changes. So Stacy's just done a magnificent job for us to go forward and to keep our books straight and square. So just want to say thank you to Stacy, and we wish her luck in the future.
Thank you, Gary. Is there anything else to come before the board? We stand adjourned. Thank you, members and our staff, the other elected people and our staff. Sorry, Amy.
Phil, thanks for a lot of it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've been